Aha! Hey, what is going on, crypto people? Are you excited? You guys getting amped up about this Bitcoin price? Cool. I love it. It's exciting for sure. I wouldn't be fooled by it. I would not be fooled by it. Listen, the market is doing what the market does, fam. It's going to be very interesting. Again, it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Really, really quick. Blockchain Backer did an extensive post on his take profit position that he's implementing it after buying Bitcoin at lows of 3,000 to 6,000. Now, look, he's taking profit at 41,000 after buying Bitcoin at 3,000 to 6,000. Okay, so and along the way of him kind of doing his thing, and mad respect for Blockchain Backer, he's always said or believed that the lows are in. Lows are in, but that was 3 to 6K lows, not 15,000 lows, not 20,000 lows. Okay, not even 12,000 lows. He said the lows were 3 to 6. That's what the lows. So going back to 15 or going back to 12 or going, that's not going back to lows. You got to get it. Bitcoin has been on a steady run. He's taking profits at 160%. That's a guy who knows, who had a strategy for what he believed the lows to be and took a strategy and implemented it. He took profit rather by implementing his strategy. Yeah, you got to get that. That doesn't mean, in my opinion, that Bitcoin is not going to go back to 25,000 or 20,000 or 15,000. It does not mean that. It means that the dude was smart enough to buy at the lows at 3 to 6K and is taking profit now. And what he's saying in his post is essentially, look, to get to $1 trillion market cap, Bitcoin's only going to go up about 24% to get to $1 trillion. That doesn't mean that it won't retrace back down to 20,000 or 25,000. I just want to point that out. So anyway, market is doing what the freaking market does. My bet is still on a sub 30,000 BTC. That is my bet. We shall see. Was it Whale Wire or Bitcoin Whale Wire or something like that? Is of the same camp as well. So is my guy Gareth Soloway. So is my guy Ben Cohen. That's kind of where I am. So we shall soon freaking see. Again, the time frame is more important for me really than the price, because I believe mid 2024 to the latter part of 2024 is when we'll begin the beginning of a bull run for the alt. The beginning of it, middle 2024, latter part of 2024 going into 2025. It's my humble opinion, but we shall soon freaking see. I know no one wants to hear that, but that's just kind of where I am. That's kind of where we are in the crypto Caesar's home. So it's very, very interesting. What I've been seeing on X lately, a lot of posts about people's bank accounts, unexplainable closed accounts, inexplicitly being closed. Is that the word? I think that's the word, right? For no reason. I saw a post on Twitter, on X yesterday, day before. The dude said, I deposited $63,000 into my bank account, and then they closed my account. I deposit money, and then they close my account, inexplicably. I just saw a post from, I'm going to share the post of a crypto YouTuber. She just had her bank account closed. No reason. Absolutely no reason. I'm going to show you a couple examples of why I think this post from Brian Armstrong, again, brings home the case, brings home what we've been saying on this channel for a long time, and that this is a war, that we need more choices, not less choices, that the biggest Ponzi scheme ever perpetuated on the American people and in the world was the Fiat system led by the US dollar. We have historical record proof of the central bankers of the world manipulating Congress way back yonder and getting themselves control, and Congress less control over them. Those are factual statements. In any case, we say on this channel all the time, be careful of the maxis, whether it be Bitcoin or XRP or any other. You got to be careful of that because we need more choices, not less. I say all the time, look, this is not about the asset necessarily. This is not about the asset Bitcoin. It's more about the monetary policy that it brings, fiscal and monetary policy that it brings, that principle of hard or sound money, quote unquote, property rights, deflationary, not being able to print into oblivion. These principles are massively, massively important. Then we can get into the asset. Then we can get into the technology. It matters not the technology or the asset if the principles, the foundational principles are broken. It matters not. We need the foundational principles to be sound, right? It's the difference between building a house in the sand and building it on, right, fertile ground. It's hugely important. It's the difference. So listen to this post from Brian Armstrong. One idea I've been contemplating is that Bitcoin may be the key to extending Western civilization. The natural trend of whichever country has the reserve currency is to inflate the money supply. Again, it's not talking about just the US, talking about what the UK did as well. The natural trend of whichever country has a reserve currency is to inflate the money supply and increase deficit spending until it loses that advantage. So, right? So whether it's going to be the Chinese yuan or whatever, that's their playbook. Okay, that's the playbook. Inflate the money supply and increase deficit spending until it loses that advantage. The U.S. is somewhere on this journey, which many have discussed, including Dalio in the book, The Changing World Order. Might have been even a YouTube video that he put out. The yuan and euro have their own issue and aren't viable alternatives currently. So the assumption is the United States can continue to inflate. But what I think many haven't considered is that people have an alternative now with crypto. They may start moving fiat into crypto as an antidote to inflation. Countries are already doing this. People in Argentina and Venezuela are already moving into crypto to fight the crazy inflation. And I would imagine that they're doing it in Lebanon as well. Lebanon, right? So contrary to what some may assume, I don't think this to be a threat to the dollar and the U.S. I think it will be a natural check and balance that will complement the dollar and be the best defender of long-term American interests, and parentheses, and Western civilization more broadly. It's better to move from dollars to crypto than to another country or region's fiat. I mean, that's a massive statement. It's better to move from dollars to crypto than to another country's region or another region's fiat. I also think both fiat and crypto will coexist for a long time, says Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase. They are more complements than substitutes. And dollar-backed, quote-unquote, stablecoins, that's me saying quote-unquote, like USDC or flat coins, this is the second time I've heard this term, flat coins, will play a major role in unifying these worlds. Still thinking this through, says Brian. What are the good takes are there on this? Eric Voorhees, who I think is very, very, who gets it, right? Early OG in Bitcoin, who really gets the ills of the fiat dollar monetary system and what comes along with it. And he re-quotes here, it's better to move from dollars to crypto than to another country or region's fiat, unquote. And this will benefit Western civilization indeed, though not necessarily Western governments, right? Like we say on the channel all the time, if we don't need them and their monetary policy, why are they around? You got to get the whole idea of the WEF and the IMF and the World Bank is so they can be needed. They put policies in place for them to be needed, along with the central banks. You understand? They put these policies in place so that they can be relevant. Christopher Callicat had a very, very interesting response in here as well. It says, Bitcoin encapsulates the promise of property rights the West flourishings has been built upon. Bitcoin encapsulates the promise of property rights that the West flourishing has been built upon. But it's for the internet age. Without it, we'd be largely without hope, given the kinds of technology fueled totalitarian impulses we see playing out globally. Like, we're not making this stuff up. It's happening. It gives real reason for optimism. Brian responds, good point. Bitcoin would extend the core tenets of economic freedom, like property rights, sound money, etc., in Western civilization for a long time, which we're at risk of losing periodically. These are parts of what made Western civilization a success. Christopher says, absolutely. It matters more than most realize, as we've been the beneficiaries of this reality by sacrifices made long before we got here. And as such, we don't have daily reminders that are common elsewhere in the world, which makes them more precarious in the West. 100%. And I'm going to give you a couple examples of daily reminders. See if I can find it. Santiago Velez says something I think is important to really get to. Was it here? Let me see. Where is the other one? Vivek said something to this, said Nick Carter, BTC Maxi, or used to be a BTC Maxi. He's no longer Maxi. Vivek said something to this effect in his recent podcast. Vivek Ramaswamy, presidential candidate, Republican presidential candidate, podcast with me, same wavelength. Here it is right here. Here's Santiago. Rehypothecation with regulated paper forms is inevitable unless the framework includes on-chain Merkle tree-based proof of reserves. Silver and gold markets proof of this because continuous audits of physical holding is not practical. But with digital assets and Oracle witnesses, it can be. Let's see if I can't find another guy that I want to share with you guys, and that is what's his name? Simon Dixon. Simon Dixon said something as well. Maybe it's in this other post. So let me give you a couple examples of why this idea of sound money, property rights is important. Okay. Let me give you a couple of ideas why this is important. This is one right here. British Smiths. A lot of us know us in the digital asset space, XRP. No British Smiths, right? I believe she has a YouTube channel as well. She says, Santander Bank in the UK debanked me and won't say why. Just that a letter is in the post, which is in the mail in the US. I don't care about this bank, but I do care about being debanked. I don't know what I have done wrong, and I feel very uncomfortable. But if you listen to people like John Reed Stark telling you to walk away from the digital asset space and walk into this, come back to the, the dirty, nasty fiat model, unbanked, without any reason, she should really count it as a blessing in disguise. Chip said, imagine once they get, Chip from On the Chain says, imagine once they get CBDCs up and running, debanking will be a common occurrence. She says she feels like crap, but it's 1000% true. And I'm going to share with you another example. Someone said something here as well. And this was like a crazy one. Here it is right here. Big Empty on X says, I've been with Santander Bank for 12 years. No problems. Then last week, for some reason, faced interrogation about my investments and crypto-related transactions. Threatened me with restricting my account. Threatened. I'm now in the process of closing it and moving to co-op. This is why we need more choices, not less choices. This is why we need things like an asset that has gone up at a minimum 50% year in and year out, like Bitcoin. I think it's up over 100%, if not 150%. Right? Blockchain Backer said his Bitcoin is up 162%. Is your fiat dollar up 162% in a bank for the last year? Is your investment in the stock market, mutual funds, up 162%? And can that brokerage firm, can that investment firm seize your assets, file Chapter 11, and have the courts deem your assets their assets? The question is unequivocally, yes, they can. And the bottom line is, when you have your assets, they're your assets. And the only thing that stops mutiny from them getting to, the only thing that stops them, the powers that be, from getting to your assets that you hold, you publicly hold, I mean, you self-custody it, is mutiny, right? And it's one of the three things that the governments of the world, don't want. They don't want people rioting in the street. They don't want people to have access to ways to commit terrorism, and they don't want people, mutiny. But they could care less that you put your assets somewhere with some firm, and that firm files Chapter 11, and now your money is their money, even if the asset is crypto. Because the firm goes into, when they do file these Chapter 11s or whatever they might do, they fall into the fiat. It's a fiat system. That Chapter 11 is called protection. It protects the company from lawsuits, and which inevitably makes the people who, remember, a company can't be a company without customers. The people make the company. Company just can't have a product. You got to have customers. The people make the product that make the company. But the system is set up that the owners of those companies benefit from the protection if they don't go to jail. They benefit from it, and your assets become their assets. And that they don't ultimately take the loss, the people take the loss. That's what we're finding out with Celsius and BlockFi and all the rest of them. This is what we're finding out. So I say all that to say this. We say in this channel all the time, we need more choices. We need to be able to choose our own form of money, how we store it, and the monetary and fiscal policy that comes along with it. We need more choices, because all they've been doing is thrusting down our throat their dirty, nasty fiat model and the monetary and fiscal policies that come with it. And it has not worked. This is from the president of El Salvador. I think it's hugely, hugely important to get it. This dude had a choice. He made a decision. But the bottom line is he had a choice. El Salvador's Bitcoin investments are in the black after literally thousands of articles and hit pieces that ridiculed our supposed losses, all of which were calculated based on Bitcoin's market price at the time, which is just it's massively misleading. Again, it's not about the price of Bitcoin. But anyway, with the current market price, if we were to sell our Bitcoin, we would not only recover 100% of our investment, but also make a profit of $3,620,277 as of this moment. Of course, we have no intention of selling. That has never been our objective. We are fully aware that the price will continue to fluctuate in the future. This doesn't affect our long-term strategy. Nonetheless, it is important that the naysayers and the authors of those hit pieces take back their statement. The responsible thing to do would be for them to issue retractions, offer apologies, or at the very least, acknowledge that El Salvador is now yielding a profit, just as they repeatedly reported that we were incurring losses. Simon Dixon says here, hard money, low time preference. A low time preference means that you don't mind going, you have a long-term, or you have a long-term mindset. That's what low time preference means. You recognize the asset and its viabilities. You accumulate this asset and you're willing to hold it over a long period of time. That's success in anything. This is success in business. This is success in anything. Recognize something that is good for you, acquire it and hold it over a long period of time. Recognizing that getting to the gym 3 to 5 days a week, getting cardio and weight training in is it's viable. It's great for you. Now, don't take the 30-day approach. Take the 30-month approach. Right? Absolutely love it. And you got some interesting comments here. But this dude, the president of El Salvador, had a choice. He had this as an option, as opposed to a fiat system that has failed him and his country, and has failed other people in their country, that is failing the United States and its people. You understand what I'm saying? I want to share some excitement that it's going to be absolutely awesome for this digital asset space. Flare Networks shares this. Want to use utility in this asset. Want to use Bitcoin for more than storing value. Want to access decentralized apps and earn yields with Bitcoin without losing control. With F assets, you can. You can mint F assets with Bitcoin and use them on any smart contract platform. Any smart contract platform. Do you understand? Flare.networks/F assets. Let me share this diagram here. By minting non-smart contract tokens into F assets, they can be put to work in decentralized apps on Flare. Lending and borrowing, bridging the metaverse, leverage trading, store value, payments, DeFi entities. Do you understand what's going on? Still got that asset. The asset still has the monetary and fiscal policy behind it. It still claims to store value, yet now it has real world use case. And we're talking about an asset that has averaged year over year of 50%. Tell me where you're getting that. Tell me where you're getting that. I remember back in the day, this used to be the mantra. You buy an altcoin so that you can get more Bitcoin. And for some reason, somewhere around 2019, 2020, it just became about just get these altcoins. Let's just get the altcoins. Let's get this money. Let's get this money and get back into the fiat dollar system. All of a sudden, In 2017 or late 2016, it was, oh, no. You're getting altcoins so that you can get more Bitcoin. And for some reason, I don't know if it was DeFi or NFTs or whatever, it just kind of shifted. Because no matter what it is that you do, when you take altcoin 20x, 30x, 40x, and 50x and go into the fiat dollar system, you're not getting 50% year-over-year return on your asset, on your money. You're just not. That's why this Flare Networks is going to be ginormous. Because the play for the Crypto Seizures home is take the returns, whether it be 10% of those altcoin returns or it's 90% of those altcoin returns, take that, put it into Bitcoin, put the Bitcoin to use. And whatever amount of that Bitcoin you want to put for use, 10 to 90% of it in use. But the bottom line is, if you got the BTC, you're averaging 50% year on year over year. You understand? That's the play, in my humble opinion. Not telling you guys to do it, but that is the play. And yes, we as XRP holders, we missed out on this last alt run. And unfortunately, 2017, 2018, 90% of us didn't even know what to do with the alt thing. I just got lucky. It was just luck. I didn't know, because I didn't even understand what it is that I held, that I got in at 20-something cents and sold at $3 and something cents. I didn't know what I held. I had no clue. I just got lucky there. But the vast majority of people rolled it up, rolled it down. But this is exciting for me right here, because I recognize that not only am I going to get a 50% year-over-year return on this asset that I own the asset. I choose where to store the asset. The only thing I have to worry about is the risk of mutiny in terms of losing that asset. That's it. There's just the risk of mutiny, and it's the government's risk, not my risk. I didn't say about capable. I didn't say about the government's ability. I'm talking about the risk that the government will or won't take to seize the asset. Not the ability, not the capability to do so. The risk, mutiny, always looms large in the back of the minds of the powers that be. Always. They don't want that. So just understand that. So that's how I see the digital asset, Bitcoin. Altcoins, you're going to get that. You're going to get those gains, every 4 years, right? After the bears, right? You're going to get your shot. If you've been accumulating through the bear, you're going to get your shot. And the question that we all have to ask ourselves is, where are we exiting into? Are we exiting into the dirty, nasty fiat dollar system? Or do we have more choices to stay in the digital asset space? The playbook is out. We know after the bull run, 90% of the assets are going to get a 90%. They're going to lose 90% in their value. We know we got the playbook. So now that we have a playbook, what is your strategy? What's the strategy behind it? That's why I suggest you guys join the Patreon, so you can learn our strategy and get the ins and outs of what we're doing, understand what's going on. Or sure, link is in the description for the Patreon without question. But that is the question today, guys. That's the question. That's why I say there's a war going on. They want us, because we decided to walk away from their liquidity pool. They want us back. That's what Operation Choke Point is all about, trying to bring us back into that dirty, nasty fiat system that John Reed Stark, crypto poser, is so excited about, bringing you back into that madness. There it is, fam. Listen, all right, this is your XRP Ripple Daily News in around 0 to 10 minutes. I hope that it has been of value to you. If it has, do me a favor, hit that like button. And if you've been hanging out watching Crypto Seeds and you've been enjoying those hangouts, then please consider subscribing to the channel. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you know whenever we go live or whenever we upload a video. I'm going to end this video like I do all of my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. But that's okay, though, because you and I, we're already winning. And I would ask you to consider this, to perhaps ponder the idea or notion of living your life permissionless. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.